Hello everyone, welcome back to the Majjhima Nikaya series, Lesson 7, the Discourse on the Simile of the Cloth, Vatthūpama Sutta. Today we will explore the Discourse on the Simile of the Cloth, the seventh discourse in the middle-length discourses, Majjhima Nikaya. The Vatthūpama Sutta is a profound teaching on the purification of the mind, presented through a simple and familiar image from everyday life. The Buddha explains that if a piece of cloth is dirty and stained, no matter how beautiful the dye may be, the color cannot become bright, pure, or long-lasting. But when the cloth is clean, the dye naturally appears vivid and beautiful. Through this example, the Buddha compares the human mind to a piece of cloth, while wholesome qualities, wisdom, and genuine happiness are like the dye. If the mind remains filled with impurities, even good deeds and spiritual practice cannot produce their full results. However, when the mind is purified, wholesome qualities naturally grow and flourish. The Buddha identifies many forms of mental defilement that stain the mind. These include greed, ill will, anger, resentment, hypocrisy, harmful intentions, jealousy, stinginess, deceit, flattery, stubbornness, competitiveness, conceit, arrogance, pride, and heedlessness. These impurities create inner unrest, fuel conflicts with others, and prevent us from seeing reality clearly. What makes this discourse especially practical is that the Buddha does not merely describe the problem, he also explains the process of inner transformation. When a person recognizes these unwholesome states and gradually abandons them, a natural sequence unfolds. Confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha arises. From confidence comes gladness. From gladness comes joy. From joy arise tranquility and happiness in both body and mind. And when the body and mind become peaceful, concentration and clarity naturally develop. This is the natural process of purification taught by the Buddha. Another important teaching in this discourse is the cultivation of the four immeasurable states of mind: loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. As the mind becomes cleaner and freer from selfishness, one can extend goodwill to all beings without distinction between friend and enemy, loved ones and strangers. These qualities are not merely meditation techniques, they are expressions of a heart that has been liberated from hatred and attachment. The discourse also records an interesting dialogue between the Buddha and a Brahmin. The Brahmin believed that bathing in sacred rivers, such as the Ganges, could wash away sins and purify a person. This belief was widespread in ancient India. The Buddha did not deny the value of physical cleanliness. However, he emphasized that water can only remove dirt from the body. It cannot remove greed, hatred, or delusion from the mind. If a person continues to lie, harm others, and engage in unwholesome actions, bathing in sacred rivers countless times cannot bring true purity. On the other hand, a person who lives honestly, maintains moral discipline, harms no one, and exercises restraints over body, speech, and mind is truly bathing in the Dhamma every day. Through this teaching, the Buddha reminds us not to confuse external rituals with inner transformation. True purity does not come from ceremonies or sacred places. It comes from purifying our own minds. No one can grant us liberation, and no holy place can replace our own effort and practice. The discourse also teaches that spiritual cultivation does not begin with lofty or mysterious experiences. It begins with recognizing the stains within our own minds. Only when we acknowledge the presence of jealousy, anger, pride, and greed can we begin to transform them. Purification is not a sudden achievement. It is a gradual process that takes place day after day, little by little. Just as a craftsman patiently removes every stain from a piece of cloth before applying beautiful colors, we must patiently cleanse the mind before wisdom and inner peace can fully emerge. Today, many people focus on changing external circumstances while neglecting their inner world. They seek happiness through possessions, recognition, or rituals, yet continue to nourish anger, envy, and attachment. The Buddhist teaching points in the opposite direction. Real transformation begins within. When the mind changes, our experience of life changes as well. This discourse reminds us that the quality of our lives depends not only on what happens around us, but also on the condition of our own minds. The central message of the Vatthūpama Sutta is therefore very clear. If we wish to cultivate wisdom, peace, and happiness, we must first purify the mind. Wholesome qualities flourish only when the conditions that support them have been established. Just as beautiful colors appear only on a clean piece of cloth, genuine peace and wisdom can arise only in a mind that has been gradually freed from its defilements. That's all for the summary. Let's now move on to the practice.
Hello, everyone. To apply the spirit of this discourse in daily life, we can begin with the following 8 practices. 1. Observe the mind every day. Whenever irritation, jealousy, wounded pride, or anger arises, simply acknowledge it and say to yourself, "This is a stain in the mind." Clear awareness is the first step towards transformation. 2. Work on one unwholesome habit at a time. Instead of trying to change everything at once, focus on a single area. This week, you may practice reducing anger. Next week, you might work on speaking more gently. Lasting change begins with small and consistent efforts. 3. Cultivate wholesome qualities deliberately. Develop gratitude, kindness, honesty, and joy for the success of others. These positive qualities help cleanse the mind and strengthen inner well-being. 4. Practice mindfulness through the breath. Spend 10 to 15 minutes each day sitting quietly and observing your breathing. A calm mind makes it easier to recognize and transform unwholesome states. 5. Develop loving kindness toward all beings. Begin by wishing yourself well, then extend those wishes to your family, friends, difficult people, and eventually to all living beings. Loving kindness softens anger and reduces resentment. 6. Understand the true purpose of visiting a temple. Going to a temple is not about asking for miracles or expecting external forces to solve our problems. It is an opportunity to reflect upon ourselves and improve our conduct. 7. Ask yourself what needs to be purified. Each day, consider what you can do better. Can you be more patient, more truthful, or more compassionate? Genuine practice begins with honest self-examination. 8. Remember that true purification comes from within. No ritual, place, or person can cleanse the mind on our behalf. Inner transformation depends upon our own effort, mindfulness, and commitment to the Dhamma. Conclusion. The discourse on the simile of the cloth teaches us that the roots of happiness and suffering do not lie in external circumstances, but within our own minds. The Buddha did not encourage people to seek purity through rituals, sacred places, or external practices alone. Instead, he taught us to observe and transform the defilements that exist within ourselves. Only when the cloth of the mind becomes clean can qualities such as compassion, wisdom, and inner peace fully develop. Every time we restrain our anger, avoid harmful speech, rejoice in the success of others, or honestly acknowledge our own shortcomings, we are gradually purifying that cloth of the mind. This discourse also reminds us that genuine spiritual practice is a lifelong process. Purification does not happen overnight. It requires patience, mindfulness, and continuous effort. Just as a craftsman carefully cleans a piece of cloth before applying beautiful colors, we must patiently cultivate wholesome qualities and remove mental impurities little by little. In summary, the message of the Vatthūpama Sutta is both simple and profound. If we wish to transform our lives, we must first purify our minds. If we seek genuine happiness, we must gradually abandon greed, hatred, and delusion. And when the mind becomes pure, wisdom, compassion, and inner peace naturally begin to flourish. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.